checking our little project here. Ooh, 84%. Still about 8 to 9 watts per minute. But I do like the animation that they have. It's just very nothing. I'll show you the glyph lights in just a minute. Had this phone now for, it's been 3 months. I'll throw the exact number of days on the screen. And this is a McDodo cable. Notice that it has a limit of 5 amps. So this might be one of the slow ways to charge. So why did I show you that, that long little time lapse of this phone charging? One really important reason. Battery draw, and another kind of phrase, battery drain. This little wattage thing, this McDodo cable, proves that charging your phone overnight is, anyone, less effective. So here I just plugged the phone in, and it's at 0, 0. Because it's an Android, it kind of has this secondary boot up where it doesn't boot up all the way, but it kind of has this little program that runs in the bathroom in the background that lets you know whether or not it's charging, which is really cool. I wish Apple would do that. So Samsung phones do that, OnePlus, Nothing phones, LG phones do that. So now if I just turn this over and leave it, okay, quickly dropped to 0.5%. But I was taking notes, and what happens is once it reaches 100%, it drops from, the 9 watts per minute to 5, and slowly, so there we go. So at 9:15, it reached 100%, and then up until 11:36, over 2 hours earlier, it was still drawing 0.5 watts. And my bet is if I just leave it here, it will continue to draw that. Now, 0.5 watts is just a wee bit of power, but it adds up. And more importantly, that's unhealthy for your battery. So it's constantly just putting little teaspoons of power back into your battery. Let me show you one more time. Yeah, I know it's kind of crazy doing a whole bunch of last minute stuff here. So here's the focusing, and I got this out for my son. This is my UV sanitizer, the phone coffin that wirelessly charges your phone and also bakes it to clean it up. So here the phone is not on. See, no tricks on my channel. Now it's at 1 watt, and then if I don't touch anything, it drops to 0.5. And it stays like that for hours after it charges. Some phones, like this one, this OnePlus 9 Pro Hasselblad, this one does smart night charging, just like the iPhone 12 mini, where it knows your routine based off alarms and just habits. And if you swipe down, go to settings, and then you go to battery. See how it dips down and all that? Yeah. Optimize night charging. To decelerate battery aging, your device learns your sleep schedule and waits to finish charging past 80 until just before you wake. But the problem is if your phone is not in airplane mode or shut off, it's constantly using power, and then it goes to 80 and then down to 79, and it's really not good to keep your phone plugged in overnight. That's just me. And then of course, status bar. And unfortunately, there is no battery health on this Android phone or this one, but let me show you a little trick on iPhone. So you take out your iPhone, go to settings, scroll on down to battery, and then right here, it'll show, what I was charging at last 10 days. Great. Battery health and charging, 83%. So this phone will never go to 100%, and it's getting worse and worse. So I'm going to swap this out later today at the Verizon store. Yeah. Oh, and I also have a video coming up about this device. It's a MagSafe charging stand by Momax. Anyway, more about that later. So the Nothing phone, I promised you glyphs. So now we'll turn this on, and while we plug it in, while we keep it plugged in and boot it up, you'll see how much the wattage changes during boot up. So again, nothing is the company that makes this phone. They're out of China. So now we'll hold down the power button, and now it fully boots up in just a minute. There we go, 8.1 watts, even though the battery said it was at 100. It has a really cool boot up screen, I must say. So now we're down to 2 watts, 5.6, 7.1, and it says charge. Password required. Whoop, close your eyes. Then after you enter the password, it quickly paints the screen, all the icons load, and right there we're at 7.1, 8.1, 4.5, and if I leave it, all these different apps are booting up, of course, and it's going to continue to draw more power. I think I've proved my point. Now, let me show you another device. This is my Instago 360. Did I say Instago? This is the Insta360 Go 2. And I need to charge this because I'm going to do some filming tomorrow. And when we first plug it in, it shows that it's charging 0.5 watts. I'll close that so it turns off. And it shows green. I already charged it a couple of hours ago, and watch how quickly this will go from 2 watts down to 0. And mostly because this is not a smart device. When you turn it off, you turn it off. But somehow phones, even when they're off and they're plugged in, they're still somehow drawing a little bit of power. This is actually a really cool camera. Waterproof, shoots in 3K, and boom. Now it's 0, and I watched it on and off for 20 minutes after it reached, green status, 100%, and it stayed at 0, where smartphones don't do that. So glyph lights. Basically, it's your typical Android 13 phone until you turn on the glyphs. When we get a notification, watch this, or let's take it out of Do Not Disturb. And then we'll also turn up the volume. Now watch how this powers off. It starts and then it's so cool. And now, I just turn it over, you get a real quick sample of the glyphs. And if I send some messages, and then these light patterns, these glyph patterns can be customized for different callers. So you can get a different call from your office and it does a light pattern. Or if your wife calls you, just like a lot of Android features, just swipe down, long press on glyphs. You have the glyph lights on, ringtones, notification. So we have default ring phone, Apple iPhone 12, the Beetle. We have nothing machine, so see that? And then it also has haptic feedback. Hey there, Pietro the editor. Just wanted to warn you that there are some bright lights coming. And if you are sensitive to lights, you might want to look away and use the chapter shortcuts down below to avoid that. Hope that warning helped. So this is one option, Kara, Pet, Huya, that one's kind of cool. This one is Wow. This one is Peplula. Wow, I actually really like that one. This is Burrow. So taptic feedback, this one's latency. This next one is Molitor. And you can choose to do sound only and no lights, but that would defeat the purpose. Interesting enough, even though I said sound only, it still did the lights. Ooh, Flutter, that one's nice. And finally, Bug. Fun stuff. I would have to say my favorite is probably latency. That just has a cool sound and a cool vibration feel. Anyway, so and you just click save. And then we can go back to glyphs. So we have notification sounds, charge and meter on. So if I flip to glyph, it does this. And when you charge it, it's also going to show a glyph. So the whole idea is that you keep your phone turned over so you can get back to your life. And there's the charging indicator. Kind of wish it was a little more animated, but it comes on and off to save power. And then of course this phone does have a fingerprint reader, so Google Assistant feedback, flip to GIF, bedtime schedule, so you can turn on the bedtime schedule and then the glyph lights won't go on because boy, at night, these things are really, really bright. Here, I'll show you. Let me turn off the house lights. So now if we just flip it over, see how bright that is? Yeah, it's pretty bright. So there's your glyph light demo. Other than that, it's a $300 phone. Now, these were originally $500, and Nothing is about to launch the Nothing 2.0. I mean, the camera's good. If you're outside, it's almost great at times. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Bluetooth works great. Audio quality is, it's okay. I'll play you a song that I'm allowed to play from this artist that I asked permission. This is a really cool song that he wrote for a book that he wrote. It's Paradise Planets, and we'll get a good kind of demo of how it sounds. So this song is called Uneven Sky. So it's going to match the glyph lights to the flow of the music, which is really cool. So we'll get a sampling of Supernova, and then we'll crank it all the way up. I mean, it's decent. It's not the song. The song's awesome, but the volume of the speakers, it's just kind of one speaker firing there. So if we try another song, let's do All Day Long. So if I cover the speaker, there goes all your volume. So I mean, I'm glad that I didn't have to pay $500 for it. I do feel it is worth $300, especially for the design. I like the design. The glyph lights come in more they're a lot more handy than you think. And yes, it has wireless charging, unlike some of the newer phones coming out that don't have wireless charging, and it's Qi compliant. There we go. And it makes that cool charging sound when you do charge it. Honestly, one of my favorite chargers is this one right here by Samsung, because not only is it Qi compliant, but it also has air vents to keep the phone cooled. So you'll hear the fan in just a second. Can you hear it? It's really quiet. Be quiet. Quiet on set. Yeah, you can hear the fan. I've heard a rumor that Momax is going to be making one of those soon, so that's good news. Other than the picture quality, phone quality, it makes phone calls. You can call people on it. As far as the earpiece volume, it does not go as loudly as a Samsung phone or even my Apple iPhone 12 mini here that's over 2 years old, but you can hear the caller. If you're outdoors, not so much. There's also the really cool just font and the whole theme throughout the phone. It's just very consistent. It's just fun, but it is, it's zippy. There's not any lag. So if we scroll down to display, and then there's the glyph, battery, storage. So if I go to battery off, battery percentage, battery since 55 seconds ago, I'm getting about 3 to 5 hours of screen time, whatever that means, right? But for me, it'll last all day. Storage, it comes with 128 gigabytes, so that's pretty cool. And if we go back to settings and then go to display, yeah, that's one of the reasons I get lower battery. If I had it in 5 minutes for some other demo I was doing, you can increase the font size, bold text, that's kind of cool. And display refresh rate, there we go. So it has 120 hertz display refresh rate, which is nice, or you can do standard. Honestly, I don't see much of a difference between the two. If you're going to do some games on it, yeah, definitely 120. I would say this is not a gaming phone, just to be 100% honest with y'all. But yeah, the keyboard works, haptic feedback works when you're typing. So if I reply back to this text feed, pretty cool, right? That's just fun. Now, one thing I do wish it had is I think the clear all should be on both sides, but yeah, that works. And it charges pretty fast, a little faster than 1% per minute. This phone, bigger battery, charges faster and lasts longer than my Apple iPhone, even though this was originally $700 and this was originally $300. Oh yeah, that was the beta program. Next thing I wanted to show you is the battery size. So you just go into System and About. So nothing Info OS 1.52. They have their own cover. Has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 778G Plus, 8 gigabytes of RAM. There's the model number A063, Android version 13. It does have 2 SIMs and uptime 15 minutes 45 seconds. And then it has experimental features, so you can connect this to AirPod, you can connect it to your Tesla. I don't have either to do that with you right now. Another one of my favorite features of Nothing, even though it's not like OnePlus, it does allow multiple users. So again, go to Settings, just type in the word User, User credentials, multiple users, allow multiple users. You can add user from the lock screen. Don't recommend doing that. If you just click add user, you can click OK, type in your kid's name, make them a kid profile. So when you hand them your phone, you're not giving them all your information and they can't delete calendar events. Not like that's ever happened to me before. As far as the battery size, I'll just throw it up on the screen. I thought it displayed on here, but I can't seem to find it. And the big question, of course, do I recommend this phone? If you can get it for $299, yes, I do recommend it. This would be a great smartphone for a teenager. I'll go on my little soapbox here. I highly recommend not giving your children a full-on smartphone. If they're 16, 17, 18, sure, but age 15 and lower, anything below age 16, buy them a Gab phone or buy them just an old school flip phone without the internet. They don't need it. And that's just my fatherly advice. You might feel differently. Well, I want to track, but you can track some of those older phones through AT&T and Verizon and T-Mobile and Mint. You just have to enable it. And it's worth paying the $10 extra for that tracking ability instead of giving your child, your tween, access to this. The analogy they've come up with is, would you send your 12-year-old to Las Vegas by themselves with credit cards and a bunch of cash? Would you? When you give your child a smartphone, you're giving them access to the entire world, all the good and the bad. But to each his own, that's just my advice. $299, great deal. Love the glyph lights. Nice flat screen. The only issues I've had with this is with the camera. Sometimes on the camera, you open up the camera app and you go to just, take a photo, and it doesn't work. But the nice thing is, when it does work, it's great, and you can use the glyph lights to take photos. And of course, it has a timer, so I'm just gonna show you this. So I'm just gonna, that was the photo that I just took of myself. And it actually does a pretty good job brightening up the person's face. And they're really taken back when they see those lights on the back of the phone. This phone attracts a ton of attention. Wow, it really does light up the... Oh, I'll take a picture of my watch for you. 3, 2, 1. And it has that cool sound effect. Yeah, there you go. The Nothing Phone 1. It's almost been out for a full year. I've only had it for 3 months. I joined the beta program and then they sent this to me, so thank you. They even sent me a black dot. I'm trying to figure that out, crypto wallet stuff. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to hang on to this. I like having an extra phone. I have my Garmin account on here, my Fitbit, Halo's connected here. When I was testing that Motorola watch, I had it on here because you can only connect so many smartphones to one device. Thank you so much for your time. I know there are at least 11 other reviewers out there, but none of them are me. So thanks for clicking on by. Thanks for watching. And yes, let the credits roll for the Paramount Kid. I will see you again sometime in the next, I don't know, probably 88 hours or sooner. And until then, I hope you remember that numbers mean something and numbers mean nothing at all. Just, nothing at all. Get it? Nothing. Okay, one more. Let's try. We're going to end with squirrels. Goodbye. Well, thank you so much for watching those end credits. Hope you enjoyed those. I know the Paramount Kid and I do. There are more sounds. I showed you 11. There are 10 more. Let me show you those as well. When you go into your Nothing phone, again, you just slide on down, long press on glyphs, and then ringtones. Click on ringtones, and see how it says Aardvark cycles? There's Nothing Machines 1, and there's Nothing Machines 2. And we went through all these, no, woo, ya, kare, right? But then there's all these as well. So we have Pneumatic. Hey there, Pietro the editor. Just wanted to warn you that there are some bright lights coming. And if you are sensitive to lights, you might want to look away and use the chapter shortcuts down below to avoid that. Hope that warning helped. So if we choose that, turn it over, this is what pneumatic sounds like. Very simplistic, but cool. This is Abra, like abracadabra. This one is called Plot. Pretty cool, right? This one is called Beetle. This one is called Squirrels. This one is called Snaps. Kind of fun. Radiate. And this one is called Tennis. This one's called Coated. Whoops, accidentally turned it off. It also has just really fun sounds. And last, Scribble. And there you go. I hope no one was bothered by those lights. That's why I gave the warning. And that's it. Goodbye.